What's your T-shirt say?
Don't be scared, it's a Daniel Johnson T-shirt. What does yours say?
Oh, I said Petite Club.
Oh, cool. You're a fan from back in the day.
Yeah.
Do you want me to sign it, kid?
Mate, could you sign it? Sign it right on my nipple there. I'm just hoping if you do, it means that you wear my Barry 316 shirts when they hit the Cultaholic shop. You joke, it's happening. I'm Tom and that's an Adam flavoured one. This is Cultaholic Wrestling News. God damn it. This business. A WWE Raw Superstar has responded to burial claims. A new Survivor Series match has been revealed. And former ECW star Francine has been hospitalized. We'll tell you about it soon. Some questions that daunt us in 2019. Where do broken hearts go? The handle on a GameCube. Is it meant to be so we can carry it around with us? We still need to plug it into the telly. How is that effective, Nintendo? And is Cedric Alexander being buried by the WWE? A few critics have said that he is, and a response from Cedric via TalkSport has been revealed, Adam Pacitti.
That's right. So responding to these claims of burial, he said, of course it annoyed him. When you hear things like that, it doesn't help my brand. You know what I mean? Regardless of how you feel about it, whether you think AJ buried me or not, it was fine. I knew what it was. It was great matches, I got to show a lot of my personality and my in-ring style. A loss isn't a burial, it's AJ Styles. How is that a burial?
He said it like that.
How is that a burial? And he goes on to say, I love this. He's one of the holy trinities of wrestling to me, so to lose to essentially a wrestling deity is fine with me.
Jeez.
Big words, fair play. Ooh. And I totally agree with him. It really wound me up when I was reading all of the reports saying, oh, they ruined Cedric Alexander. He still had a pretty competitive match, but sometimes you want the champion, AJ Styles in this case, to have a dominant win. As Cedric himself says, it's AJ Styles. He's a deity. He's a wrestling deity.
He is.
Yeah, and I was totally fine with it. Cedric still looked good. He didn't need to even almost win. It's AJ Styles.
The fact that Cedric is even in the mix is exciting enough.
I agree.
You haven't got to win every single one of the big matches. The fact that you're in amongst it, I think, is important. But I think because as wrestling fans, we are so used to WWE blowing hot and cold on guys. I think there's always the concern that when it is like a quick win, it's like, oh, well, that's done then. That's that then. Wash my hands of that. But it might not necessarily be the case all the time.
Yeah, my complaint with the booking of Cedric Alexander is the inconsistency of it all. Not the wins and losses. Sometimes he's on TV and he's featured very prominently, including in like the bloody main event when he came out as the janitor. It's been what, Gary Garber?
Gary Garbo.
Is that right? Garber? Well, anyway, Gabbo. So it's sometimes he pops up for 2 or 3 weeks, featured prominently, and then he goes away for a bit. That's frustrating. That makes me feel like it's difficult to invest in Cedric. It's not the not winning.
Yeah, losing to AJ Styles isn't the issue with the Cedric
There's
Alexander.
no shame in that.
It's sometimes being on telly, then sometimes not being on telly.
That's what he should have been asked.
Yeah, you happy with being on telly and not being on telly sometimes? He goes, no, I'm not either, actually, thank you, mate.
Well, Vince McMahon is a wrestling deity, and I respect him tremendously.
Obviously, I do.
What are you doing there?
I'm trying to put my GameCube down. Belongs to Triple Jump, they'll kill me. Mr. Pacitti, there he is there, there's his face, will be along with Raw Graded. I got some hair gel on my finger, by the way.
That's like Marmite.
You're welcome. He'll be along later on with Raw Graded, so he's going to tell you everything that happened on Monday Night Raw last night. But we can tell you there are 2 big announcements regarding Survivor Series that occurred from Raw.
That's right, the first one being that a rumoured Survivor Series match that we reported on last week has now been made official. It's the mid-card no, not mid-card. The secondary title bonanza. What are we calling it?
The secondary title bonanza?
Yeah, the mid-card mashup. I don't know what I'm saying here.
Mid-card, mid-roll mashup.
It was announced last night on Raw, and it is the US champion, the man that we've just spoken about, the wrestling deity, AJ Styles, taking on the IC champion, Shinsuke Nakamura, taking on the NXT North American champion, Roderick Strong, in non-title triple threat action. Bloody lovely.
Give him an hour.
Yes.
Give him a whole hour and they'll give you the world. Oh, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where if this was a match happening on NXT, I'd be like, whoo, daddy. There's always I think I'm always slightly concerned when it's on the main show, just because normally the main shows are so busy and they have a tendency now at pay-per-view shows to kind of rattle through a couple of matches quite quick. So I'm optimistic this will get time. I would like this to get time.
I agree. I think this could be an absolute classic. Genuinely.
Yeah.
There have been reports, it's worth mentioning, that the current plan, and close your ears, the chicken's over there. We don't have time
can't
to get
reach
it.
the spoiler, chicks.
I'll throw my hands up when I'm finished, all right, with the spoiler. There are currently reports, that Shinsuke Nakamura might not be the IC champion by the time it gets to Survivor Series. But that doesn't make sense to me anymore because it looks like Bray Wyatt might be feuding with Daniel Bryan, who is the man who is rumoured to replace Shinsuke Nakamura.
I'm pretty sure that Shinsuke will be there now as the champ. I think if we hadn't seen what we'd seen on SmackDown, I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe chuck Bryan in there.
Agreed.
Get in there, Bryan.
Hands are up, hands are up. So, another addition to that story, by the way, is that The Miz versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt has been announced for StarCast, hence the reason that they were working
Starcade.
Sorry, I'm so used to saying
Starcade.
Only comes around once a year, you get 2 StarCasts a year.
The Fiend and The Miz are facing Sting and RoboCop.
Yes,
Conrad
please.
Thompson as guest referee.
Yes, please. Also, the Team Raw has been revealed for Survivor Series. The captain is the coolest man on the planet, Seth Rollins. I'm not going to have a go. Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, and Ricochet. That's a hell of a team. That's a good cross-section of what Raw is.
Yeah, I like it. I like the addition of Kev. It's a funny one because we've not long had the big match from Crown Jewel.
No, absolutely.
Where a few of these guys were they on opposing teams?
Yeah, absolutely. Orton was team captain of Flair. Ricochet was obviously on Team Hogan.
Yeah.
And Rollins was originally meant to be part of Team Hogan and then got pulled.
Yeah.
For Roman.
So who do we think will be on Team SmackDown? Who do we think will be on Team NXT?
Oh man. Okay. It's got to be the top guys, right? On Team NXT. Like.
Brock Lesnar, Cain Velasquez.
On Team NXT?
Oh, no, yeah, Brock Lesnar. He's not turning up on Raw, he's going to NXT. For NXT, I think they'll go Tommaso Ciampa. I think it'll look very similar to the War Games team. I think it'll be Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle.
Yeah. That's it. I'd like it to be the bloody War Games team the next night. They win at War Games, they're the strongest team.
They're the boys.
Then they go on to Survivor Series.
You'd have to add an additional for the team, wouldn't you?
Yeah, me.
There you go.
Regal! One last Regal match. Yes, Regal!
I will fight with every bit of venom and blood in my being to beat Antonio Cesaro, the best on the planet.
I watched that on Reddit. That was so good, wasn't it? So good.
Find out Regal's promo before his match with Cesaro at NXT. It's an absolute masterclass. I think your War Games team, basically. Maybe chuck in somebody else who's really
Otis.
Gargano.
Yeah. Gargano.
He
bleeds NXT, that man.
Pop Gargano up that boy, and then you've got and you know what? Then you've got a nice opportunity to have DIY as the final 2 for NXT.
Oh, he's figured it all out. He's figured it all out. Yes,
get amongst it, please. That'd be nice. And then SmackDown, we'd have. Who we got on the SmackDown? Do you know what?
I don't watch it anymore. No, I don't watch training. I just watch the highlights.
Do you know what? There is. Okay, so here's
Roman.
the crack. Here's the crack, right? There's so much wrestling around right now that we all in the office have our own little corners that we cover. So when it's like, so mine's NXT, yours is Raw. So if anything happens on SmackDown, Sam, mate, what's happening? Because there's so much else going on. You know, we have to hire somebody else to run NWA Power.
So often you hear across the office, is X on Raw or SmackDown? You can't tell anymore.
Exactly. We send our best to the Queen of Extreme, Francine, former ECW and WWE star, who's had a bit of a rough time lately. This comes from PW Insider. Francine announced last night that she was being readmitted back into a hospital in New Jersey following some issues that she did not disclose. This is pending from a surgery last week for an abdominal reconstruction as well as a hernia repair. This is the 3rd surgery that she's undergone. Doctors placing mesh to secure stitching, which came undone after the first 2 surgeries. It's been a bit of a nightmare situation.
It's nasty, though, isn't it?
Yeah, really, really nasty. And, we send nothing but love to Francine. Big part of ECW.
Of course, yeah, I was always a fan of her work. I wish she'd done a lot more in WWE, actually. I always thought she was a really great character. The stuff with Dreamer and ECW was fantastic. That's one of the sort of really iconic pictures to me, if I think of ECW as the pile driver.
Yeah, and she briefly turned up during one of the one-night stands.
She did.
And she got a massive reaction.
Yeah.
People remember.
She was a huge part of the show.
Francine.
She really was. So yeah, sending our best from all of us here at Cultaholic. Hope you get well soon.
And Stone Cold Steve Austin returns to the WWE Network at the end of this month. He's got himself a brand new show. I believe this will be a podcast as well. This WWE are muscling in on territory, doing podcasts, but they're not talking
we definitely own podcasts.
Yeah, we own wrestling podcast, but they're not talking about...
We own WWE, you bastards.
Yeah, but you're not doing a podcast about the longest wrestling match in history between Clarence Whistler and William Muldoon from the 19th century.
You should do though, guys. It's a good idea.
You hear Corey Graves talking about things he bought from Home Bargains this week. Yeah, podcast.
So Austin is coming back. He's going to be on the WWE Network with his new show, The Broken Skull Sessions. It's a 2-hour pilot episode, this one. It's going to be fantastic. And his first guest is none other than Big Mark Calloway. Yeah, The Undertaker is his first guest. They released a trailer last night. I watched it on Twitter. And bloody hell, it's going to be great. There's going to be so much we're going to learn from this. Austin at one point asks him, how long have you got left? And Taker says, literally, I don't know if I'll be around here next year.
Wow.
Huge.
Wow. So he's dying next year as well, because I'm dead at 36.
He's already dead, Tom. What are you talking about? And so are you inside.
Dead inside. Yeah, so in the actual promo, they show clips of like me, Mark Callis. Mm-hmm. So they're going all the way back to like those. And very rarely do you hear The Undertaker talk about like those days in WCW. I don't think I've ever heard him talking about like the Punisher Dice Morgan days from Japan or anything like that.
He's done numerous out of character interviews before, but they're still rare. So 2 hours of it?
I'm up for that. Plus the fact that Broken Skull Session sounds like it should be like acoustics. Like an acoustic music bit.
Yeah, it does.
So I want Undertaker to tell his whole story in song. I was dead and I was alive. Boom, 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 boom. Like freeform jazz.
Well, they can re-record it, Tom. Don't worry.
I hope they can.
Tom's whim.
Because that's all I want them to do is some freeform jazz with The Undertaker for 2 hours. You and Steve Austin. Make my dream come true. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/cultaholic. Lastly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.